So how do you two know each other?
You want to start?
You go ahead.
Well, as superintendent of the Monroe Correctional Complex, I've tried over the years to try and get out and get to know some of the people that are living there. And David's one of the people that I had a chance to meet, to interact with, and came to see somebody that I thought had a lot of capabilities and some potential to be a lot more than he was the first time I met him. And that doesn't mean that he wasn't somebody of value that day, but I think today, as we sit here today, it's makes me smile. It makes me happy to have this opportunity.
Yeah, I met Mr. Frakes at Monroe Correctional Center. I was housing at that facility, and I had the privilege also to interact with him, because he was kind enough to walk the yard with the other guys and be concerned about the things that were going on in the institution. And that put a big picture in my mind as far as his personality, because not a whole lot of people does that. And I gave him a lot of respect for that. And over the years, well, maybe a year after, I got out and I was able to be part of some programs with people that he knew, and I guess that's how we sit right next to each other now. But that's how we first met, I guess. Yeah.
That's the story.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what type of programs were you able to go through?
Well, the institution offered a couple of programs, but the one that I'm involved in right now is post-prison education program. And then again at Monroe, where Ari, the post-prison, went to do a presentation about their program, and I just had sent in an application so I can apply to their program. And it just happens that when they came into the institution, Mr. Frakes was there, and he knew Ari. And I was just asking if they ever got my application, and they said, well, they'll probably get to it, and they'll probably find it later. But then Mr. Frakes stepped up and said that he put like a good word,
Yeah, put you on Front Street is what I
with
did.
a whole lot of people too. But that was good.
I kind of felt bad that night after I did that. I was like, man, okay, what's the rest of the guys in the kitchen going to think that night? But right at that moment, it seemed like the right thing to say, and I know it made a good impression on Ari. There's no doubt about that.
No, yeah, most definitely. Because even to the guys, they gave the guys that I was hanging around with. It was because not everybody does that, right? I mean, especially a superintendent. I've never seen that. I don't think a whole lot of people never got that experience, but they were surprised that once again to see his personality, showing that somehow he cares, when he is the boss in the institution, and we're supposed to be the bad people. And once again, it didn't even turn out any bad at all. I mean, from the people that was there, everybody was like, wow, like wow, wow, that was it. Well, it was a good thing, because now, thanks to that and the help from Ari, I've been able to go to college and get involved in some good programs, volunteer to some community work, community meetings and whatnot to better our communities, I think that was just the base right there to just take off, because if it wasn't for that, who would have known, But yeah.
So then why speak up for David specifically then?
Oh, that's a good question. David, when he came to the facility, had some level of respect and I'll say leadership, in the sense of, I think more, the respect's probably the better word, but some leadership with some of the other men that are incarcerated at the facility. And he had some background from the streets and some issues around, I'll use the word gangs, because that's probably the best term to use right now. And so we were trying to avoid conflict within the facility between different gangs and sometimes within gangs as well. Security threat groups is our official term. But so we had conversation with David about what he might be able to do to help us minimize violence and help people get along inside. And he was willing to take a leadership role and help us to talk to other men, to, I have to let him speak to more specifically what he did or didn't do. All I know is that with his help and the help of a few others, we were able to almost eliminate gang-related violence and the tension that had been a part of Monroe for a long time. So I saw that piece and those skills, and then the other thing I saw was somebody that seemed very committed to their word, and that's really important to me. And I think that regardless of whatever mistakes somebody makes in their past, and I've made plenty of my own, it is possible to be true to your word, live up to your word, and that form of integrity is really critical in the work that I do. So when I see that in somebody and I see an opportunity to maybe help them grow and to build on that, then it's worth my time and my effort to do that.
Then, David, do you want to talk about what you did specifically within the prison?
Well, I guess I found myself in a different institution at that time, because Monroe was it was close custody, and they wanted to go from close to medium. Am I correct?
Yep.
And so the violence was pretty high because it was all close custody people, pretty much people that are coming out of IMUs or any other max facility. And it was a big problem with the group that I was hanging around with and this other group. And so, anyways, when I first was approached with this was to go to Monroe and see if I can help out somehow to reduce that violence. But in all reality, at first I was like, I'm doing fine over here. Why would I want to go over there and get myself in a big mess? But then again, due to the fact that it was my own people, it was the ones that created this violence and beating each other's up. I never really liked that, so I feel it would have been a good chance for me to do something good for my own, for myself and my people mainly. And then once I got to the institution, we talked to some of the staff that works for Mr. Frakes, and we were able to kind of like understand each other and build up some kind of communication with each other to where like, let's work this out. And they allowed me to put in my 2 cents into it, and I really liked it that, and from just the idea of helping my people and do something to feel good within my own self, it turned out to be something bigger within myself, because then now I can see, their point of view from being a staff towards the inmates, and being an inmate to see, like their point of view towards us. And I think it was just one of the great experiences that I ever had to be able to go back and forth without having a big problem with the institution, because no one does that really, and openly like that. So what we did basically was we got together with some other guys, and we just kind of like, look, this is not helping us. It's not helping the system. Monroe has always been known as the institution that has the best programs, the most events. There's something going on in Monroe, but ever since they went like close custody and all this violence was going on, it was going out the window. And that was my approach to the guys, like especially to the guys that had a lot of time to do. Be like, you're gonna be here for a while, and with no programs, you're not gonna better yourself in any kind of way. So if you really think about it, if we just help the situation within us, it's gonna help them to help us back again. You know what I mean? Because by reducing this violence, they're gonna be able to bring more programs that eventually are gonna benefit us. So that's kind of like the approach that I took, and to my surprise, a lot of people, listened to it, and they were all right with it. Even the guys that I knew and the ones that didn't like me, we kind of put it the same way to where like, this is basically for all of us, not just for them or anybody else, mainly for us or you guys, because at that time I was getting short myself to get out. and it worked. I mean, it was up and downs, and but I think at the end of the day, everybody was happy with the results. We were happy. I'm pretty sure.
I was happy. I was
And
happy.
yeah, that's just pretty much.
And it's still working today. So, so the work you did had a lasting impact.
Could either of you talk then about the results that you guys got from David's work?
Well, the easiest measure would be incidents of violence. And we went from having one of the highest levels of violence in our department to one of the lowest levels of violence. And that trend is still continuing. Right now, we're back kind of at average for the department, but the entire department has used these types of strategies, so our violence statewide is significantly lower than it was 3 and 4 years ago. These issues are always challenging, and the dynamics continue to change. So the strategy that we developed and brought to life 3 years ago isn't going to continue to work forever. And we're seeing that now, that there's different tension and dynamics out in the community that are coming into, as people arrive, new people are committed to the system. They bring different ideas and different values. And so people are talking probably today as I sit here about what's our next step, what's our next approach, so that we can keep the violence down.
Do you have any examples of how your work showed results, I guess?
Well, for us, for instance, we were able to, we had a Hispanic culture group where every year we celebrate our independence from Mexico. So that was one of the things that I was more concerned about, to keep celebrating that day. And we got it back, and we were able to get together. And it was funny because that year I remember talking to Hoover and them about having this event, and they were like, "No way, no, hell no, it's not gonna happen," because at that time we were getting a lot of people from different places, and no one really knew for sure what was gonna happen. Everything was still like in the air, but I had a feeling that everything was gonna be all right. So I asked them to allow us to really have this celebration. For me, it was more like, if this is gonna work, we're gonna know here, because everybody gets together. And then I say, if we don't do it, we're always gonna be thinking what's gonna happen tomorrow, who's gonna be doing what. So, and by then obviously they didn't know, but I down talked to pretty much like the guys that had the most respect around the institution, and I said, you know what, let's make it happen. We're gonna make it happen for us, and we're gonna kill it. And because the challenge, it wasn't us, it was the people who was getting there, so they allowed us to do it. And and it was 2 groups separated in the room in the first probably 30 minutes. And since I was gonna trying to run the program, we just got everybody going, and from there you see everybody just mixing with each other's, That's when I knew this is gonna work, because you don't put 20 guys or 40 guys, 20 from each group, just there just to kick it, and we did it, and it worked. So that to me was like, we had a good understanding, and it's gonna work. And then from there we start getting, more programs, the fitness class, more, maybe for a lot of people don't understand when I say programs, but even from Kairos to the culture group that we had, and all kinds of stuff, pretty much. But yeah, it was a lot of benefits out of it.